Okay, class, now we're going to be doing two-step algebra. So again, our goal is to get, in this case, x by itself, which is the variable. So we want to start away from the x, and we have 6x. So we're going to look at it again, and it's plus 6. So we want to do the opposite, which is minus 6. What you do to one side, you do to the other. My 6's are going to cancel. I'm going to be left with 2x equals 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Now I'm not done with the equation because I have a 2 in front of my x still. So what I want to do in this case is 2x is multiplication. The opposite is division. So I'm going to do divided by 2 on this side. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So in this case, I'm going to get x equals negative 5 over 2. And if you want to reduce that, you can do so. On the next example, I have 4x plus 7 equals 2. So I have a positive 7, so again I got to do the opposite, which is minus 7. What I do to one side, I do to the other. My 7's are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with 4x equals negative 5. Again, I'm not finished because I have a 4 next to my x. So that's multiplication. Again, the opposite is division. Divided by 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. My 4's are going to cancel. I'm going to be left with x equals negative 5 over 4. As I continue, I'm going to look at this next one, and I have 9x minus 3 equals 5. So I have a minus 3. So the opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I'm going to cancel out my 3's and be left with 9x equals 8. Once again, I still have a number next to my x, so I need to do the opposite, which is division. Divide each side by 9. X equals 8/9. For this next example, I have 7x minus 5 equals 3. I have a minus 5, so the opposite is plus 5. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Cancel my 5's, and I'm left with 7x equals 8. To finish my problem off, I have to get rid of the 7, so I'm going to need to divide each side by 7. My 7's will cancel, and x will equal 8 over 7. 4x plus 8 equals 3. I have a positive 8, so I'm going to minus 8 from each side. They're going to cancel. 4x equals negative 5. Since I have a number next to my x, I'm going to need to take it to the other side. In this case, I'm going to divide by 4. Divide the other side by 4. And I'm going to be left with x equals negative 5/4. My next example is 3x minus 2 equals 1. I have a minus 2. Opposite is plus 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. My numbers cancel. 3x equals 3. I have an x and a 3 together, so in order to finish the problem, I need to divide each side by 3. My 3's cancel. X equals 3 divided by 3 gets me 1. On this next example, I have division and subtraction. So still, I'm going to look at my 6, and since it's a minus 6, I'm going to add 6 to each side. The 6's on one side cancel. X divided by 2 equals 11. Now I have to get rid of the 2, so I have to times 2 to both sides. These cancel. X equals 22. My next one, I have a plus 3. I have to do the opposite, minus 3, minus 3. My 3's cancel. I have x over 7 equals 2. I have division left on this side, so I'm going to have to times it by 7, times the other side by 7. 7's cancel. X equals 14. I have a positive 8, so I have to subtract 8 from one side, subtract 8 from the other side. Cancel them. X over 6 equals negative 4. To get rid of my 6, I'll need to do multiplication. What I do to one side, I do to the other. and I'm left with x equals, a negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 6 is 24. I have a positive 2 on this side, so I'm going to subtract 2 from each side. My 2's will cancel. X divided by 10 equals negative 1. I need to take my 10 to the other side by multiplying. And my answer is going to be x equals, I have a negative number, and 1 times 10 is 10. This next example, I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. 5's cancel. X divided by 3 equals negative 3. I'm going to times each side by 3. They cancel. And my final answer is x equals negative 9. My next equation, I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. They cancel. X divided by 2 equals, I have 5 minus 5, so I'm going to get a 0 on this side. I have to take the 2 over. They cancel. X equals, and 2 times 0 is just 0, so my x is just going to equal 0. Now you guys can watch this video a few times. It's 2 steps, so remember you got to get the x alone, or you got to get whatever variable they're asking you alone before you have officially solved the problem. And if you need any more examples, let me know and I'll make you an extra worksheet.